Old Hollywood was a wild place. The legendary parties, insane on-set antics, and all-around tinsel-tinted shadiness are the building blocks for Hollywood as we know it. Over the years, changing attitudes and power structures would make the industry less of a dumpster fire, but sadly, changing the cogs in the machine doesn't fix it. One of the best examples of the dark side of Hollywood is the all-time classic 1939 musical The Wizard of Oz, starring Judy Garland, Ray Bolger, Burt Lahr, Jack Haley, and Margaret Hamilton, directed by Victor Fleming. But before I begin, I personally want to say thank you for watching this video. It means a lot. I got about 400 views on my last video, and that made me super excited. So, thank you for watching, and please make sure to like, share, subscribe if you want to see more. And if you don't want to see more, please comment what I could do better. But let's get right into it. The first inklings of an adaptation based upon L. Frank Baum's children's book, The Wizard of Oz, came after the enormous success of Walt Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which was a pioneering feat in animation. But more importantly, for Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, proved the success of adapting a children's fairy tale into a full-length feature film. In January of 1938, MGM bought the rights to the novel from Samuel Goldwyn, a prolific producer who envisioned the film as a vehicle for comedian and actor Eddie Cantor, who would have played the Scarecrow. Problems started right away in the development for the film, with the script going through several extensive drafts, edits, and rewrites. Silent comedy actor and director Mervyn LeRoy's assistant William H. Cannon wrote a 4-page outline for the film that was more reminiscent of the 1925 silent adaptation of the film. This outline emphasized cutting the magical elements from the film due to recent fantasy films' underperformance at the box office. In this outline, the Scarecrow was a man so stupid that his only source of employment was scaring crows from a field. This outline also drastically changed the Tin Man to a cold-blooded criminal who was so heartless that for his punishment he was to be put in a metal suit for all eternity. The torture then softened him into a gentler and kinder person over time. Afterward, LeRoy handed the writing duties to legendary screenwriter Herman J. Mankiewicz, mostly known for his efforts on the script to Citizen Kane. For further viewing on him, watch HBO's TV movie RKO 281 and Netflix's Mank. He churned out a 17-page draft of the Kansas scenes and a further 56 pages a few weeks later. However, LeRoy also commissioned 2 other writers, Noel Langley and poet Ogden Nash. None of the 3 writers knew about the other 2. This was a common practice in early Hollywood. Nash delivered a 4-page outline, and Langley turned in a 43-page treatment and a full script. Langley then turned in 3 more scripts, this time incorporating the music by Harold Arlen and Yip Harburg. Florence Rierson and Edgar Allan Wolfe were brought on board to touch up the writing after submitting a script themselves. They were asked to make the story true to the book, but producer Arthur Freed was unhappy with their efforts and reassigned it to Langley. Following numerous rewrites, the final draft of the script was completed on October 8, 1938. Despite the numerous writers on the film, only 3 were credited: Langley, Rierson, and Wolfe. Others who went uncredited are Irving Brecker, Herbert Fields, Arthur Freed, Yip Harburg, Samuel Hoffenstein, Jack Mintz, Sid Silvers, Richard Thorpe, George Cooker, and King Vidor. Yip Harburg's son and biographer Ernie Harburg said about his father's work, quote, "So anyhow, Yip also wrote all of the dialogue in that time, and the setup to the songs, and he also wrote the part where they gave out the heart, the brains, and the nerve, because he was the final script editor. And there was 11 screenwriters on that, and he pulled the whole thing together, wrote his own lines, and gave the thing a coherence and unity, which made it a work of art. But he doesn't get credit for that. He gets lyrics by E.Y. Harburg, you see. But nevertheless, he put his influence on the thing." The original producers for the film thought a 1939 audience was too sophisticated for a straightforward fantasy romp. Thus, it was retooled to be a lengthy, elaborate dream sequence because they wanted to target a youth audience. They initially wanted to appeal to fads and styles of the time. The score had initially featured a song called The Jitterbug, and the script had featured several musical competition sequences. What was the narrative purpose for Oz's Got Talent, you may be asking? Well, apparently, there was supposed to be a selfish, evil princess in Oz that had outlawed all forms of music except classical and operetta. Footloose Meets Oz is not a two-sentence pitch that I thought I would ever hear, but holy fucking shit. The princess would then challenge Dorothy to a singing contest in which Dorothy's swing music prowess would win her the grand prize. For this reason, the role of Dorothy was initially pegged for operatic singer and B-movie actress Betty James. Oh my god. Imagine if they didn't get the... Oh my god. Oh my god. They almost got Betty fucking James for this role? Holy shit. Another scene initially in the script was an epilogue in Kansas where the Scarecrow's Kansas counterpart, Hunk, leaves for an agricultural college and who extracts a promise from Dorothy that she would write to him. This scene further implies a romantic angle between Dorothy and the Scarecrow that is somewhat present in the final film, with her saying to him that she will miss him most of all. To wrap up the development side, special attention was paid towards the use of color in the film. In particular, it reportedly took almost a week to decide on the iconic hue of the yellow brick road. There were several actresses on the shortlist to play the role of Dorothy. One name thrown around was legendary child actress and boogeyman of 2000's Cartoon Network commercial breaks, Shirley Temple. Deanna Durbin, relative newcomer and notable operatic singer, was also considered. Finally, Judy Garland, the most experienced of the three, was given the role reportedly due to contractual issues with the other two, as Temple was signed to 20th Century Fox. To put it simply, Judy Garland was put through the ringer on the set of The Wizard of Oz. One thing that I'm trying to do with this podcast is show how badly women have been historically treated in Hollywood. And Judy Garland had a pretty rough go of it on this film. The studio went to extreme lengths to manipulate her appearance, including binding her chest and giving her Benzedrine tablets to keep her weight down, along with uppers and downers that caused giggling fits. The director, Victor Fleming, slapped her during the Cowardly Lion's introduction scene when Garland could not stop laughing at Lars' performance. Once the scene was done, Fleming, reportedly ashamed of himself, ordered the crew to punch him in the face. Garland, however, kissed him instead. In addition, there were claims that various members of the cast pointed out her breasts and made other lewd comments. Claims have been made in memoirs that the frequently drunk actors portraying the Munchkins propositioned and pinched her. There were also allegations that she was groped by Louis B. Mayer on set. In the process of making the Tin Man's costume, several tests were performed on actor Buddy Ebsen, using several different styles of makeup and clothes. 10 days into shooting, Ebsen suffered a severe reaction to the aluminum-based body paint. Reportedly, he had inhaled particles of the aluminum, which caused him breathing problems for the rest of his life. According to Ebsen's daughter, the studio had misrepresented the reaction as an allergic reaction. The only footage of Buddy Ebsen as the Tin Man comes from the first director's efforts on the project, through Technicolor tests and roughly 2 weeks of footage. 9 days in total, helmed by Richard Thorpe. The sequences shot by Thorpe include Dorothy's first encounter with the Scarecrow and a number of sequences in the Wicked Witch's castle, such as Dorothy's rescue, which, though unreleased, includes the only footage of Buddy Ebsen's life-altering role. After reviewing dailies of Thorpe's effort, Leroy felt that Thorpe was rushing the production, which was adversely affecting the actors' performances. During the reorganization of the film, George Cukor temporarily took over production. Initially, Garland was put in a gaudy blonde wig and heavy baby doll makeup, alongside an overblown performance. Cukor changed Dorothy's and the Wicked Witch's costumes and directed Garland to be herself. This meant that the portions of the film that had been shot must be reshot, a costly decision owing to the expensive and grueling Technicolor shooting process. Cooker also suggested that the studio cast Jack Haley, on loan from Fox, as the Tin Man. Cooker did not shoot anything for the film. He was merely a creative advisor for the troubled production. Despite his limited role, without his input, the film would be wildly different than the film we have today. Gone with the Wind required him to leave on November 3rd, 1938. It was then that director Victor Fleming took control of the project. Fleming chose not to redirect, as Leroy had already seemed amicable to the vision of Cooker. Production on the film was laborious, to say the least. The Technicolor sequences took 6 months to shoot, from October 1938 to March 1939. Most of the cast worked 6 days a week and had to arrive as early as 4 a.m. to be fitted for costume and makeup, and often did not leave until 7 p.m. or after. The intricate and cumbersome makeup and costumes were pushed into the torturous with the hot daylight bright lighting, which could heat the set to over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Bolger later stated that the frightening costumes of the Oz actors would keep them from eating in the studio commissary, and the toxicity of Hamilton's copper-based makeup kept her on a liquid diet for shoot days. Reportedly, it took 12 days to have Toto run alongside the rest of the actors as they skipped down the yellow brick road. The snow in the field of poppies was asbestos. There was reportedly a dead munchkin in the background of one shot. The booming crane shot of the four principals as they skip away reportedly has the dead munchkin. Rumors circulated, but the validity of the story has never been proven. Allegedly, one of the munchkins professed his love for Judy Garland and she turned him down, and this was his final act. In Hamilton's exit from Munchkinland, she was to be lowered by an elevator platform as fire and smoke would erupt, dramatizing and concealing her exit. The first take went well, but on the second, the burst of fire cued too soon. The flames set fire to her green copper-based face paint, which caused third-degree burns to her hands and face. She spent 3 months recuperating before returning to shoot. Her green makeup had usually been removed with acetone, but because of her burns, makeup artist Jack Young removed the makeup with alcohol to prevent infection. On February 12, 1939, Fleming hastily replaced Cooker as the director of Gone with the Wind, and Fleming's friend King Vidor to get the film in the can. He mainly directed the Kansas sequences, which included Somewhere Over the Rainbow and the tornado. Behind all of the glitz and glamour, there is often a darker side to filmmaking. I hope to have lightened you about the woes of early Hollywood and to have entertained you for the short time you have chosen to listen. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe, and have a great rest of your day.